Kyle Lowry, it's official, signed and traded to the Miami Heat, 3-year deal, and it looks like Goran Dragic and Precious Achiuwa are heading their way to the North, Toronto. So right now, I want to hear your opinions. What do you guys think of this trade? Was it a good trade? Was it a bad trade? What do you guys think? First reported by Shams and Woj. So I want to hear your guys' thoughts. It's actually a very interesting year for the Miami Heat, and it puts them in certainly in an interesting position. They just re-signed Jimmy Butler to the max, and it's Bam Adebayo, Jimmy Butler, and Kyle Lowry is the big three. Looks like they're going to keep Duncan Robinson and Tyler Hero, potentially even bring back Victor Oladipo, a guy who is injured, but they could probably bring him back on a very cheap deal, have him just sit all year and just get ready for the playoffs and be one of their top players in the playoffs. But right now, their team is KZ Okpala, Tyler Hero, Bam Adebayo, and Jimmy Butler. And it's very interesting because you look at this, and I really think out of their free agents that are coming back, it's going to be Duncan Robinson, I hope Victor Oladipo, but Duncan Robinson and maybe Kendrick Nunn. But I really think it's Kendrick Nunn, Duncan Robinson the most likely. And I think this is a team that all they got to fill out is maybe bring back Trevor Ariza and other players. Like Torrey Craig's off the market, but a player along the lines of, I think Jared Vanderbilt is a restricted free agent, but he could be someone that they could try to pry away, but I think he would cost too much. I just think a guy like James Johnson would be a great fit for them, and they have now, it seems like if they bring Kyle Lowry and Duncan Robinson and Kendrick Nunn back, they need 2 more roster spots to really have 2 to 4 more roster spots. But I think it's really where you look at this, and I think the Miami Heat, obviously they need more center rotations. Hopefully they can bring back Dwayne Dedmon, but he's probably going to get a pay raise. So you could look at a guy like Gorgie Dang, who wasn't terrible for the Spurs. Maybe a JaVale McGee, a Dwight Howard could be options there at the vet mim. And then you look at backup point guards, Ish Smith, or along the lines of a guy like maybe Brad Wanamaker or Kent Bazemore for some wing depth. You could look at some 3-and-D guys for them, okay? Some guys that could really help the roster. And I think this is definitely a move that, wow. I think a lot of us, we were all expecting, I love the idea of Kyle Lowry pick and roll lobs to Jimmy, or even, more likely Bam Adebayo, but Jimmy and Kyle can run the point. Kyle's the main point guard, but Jimmy can do some secondary ball handling, with Duncan Robinson and Tyler Hero being the stretching the floor. And then off the bench, that's where it becomes interesting. They need a little bit of help because we assume off the bench right now it's KZ Okpala and probably Kendrick Nunn. But if they could bring back Gabe Vincent and Max Struss, who I believe they could probably bring back, we'll give them that. That's the bottom of the depth. They need to put guys, maybe bring back Trevor Ariza, put a guy out there like James Johnson, who had a great year with the Pelicans, okay? And find some shooters. Wesley Matthews could be a cheap guy. I know he didn't have the best year with the Lakers, but he could be a guy who could have a bounce back year with the Heat. So definitely think that's an option. I definitely think this free agency has been pretty crazy, okay? And there's still so many moves to see that we're going to see just keep happening. I think we just saw Chris Paul stay with the Suns, so that's good for them. They needed that. They had to have Chris Paul come back, because if Chris Paul didn't come back, that would have been bad news Bears. But yeah, so now we're just sitting here. I think the Heat are definitely contenders in the East. They're definitely a top 3 seed. Nothing less. I think they're going to be one of the best, or the better teams in the entire NBA. And it all comes down to they need to fill out that roster, okay? They need to fill out the roster. That's where the biggest question mark is. And I think if they can get the right depth, then this is going to be a team that could be super scary, okay? They're not going to be able to get guys like PJ Tucker or Jay Crowder, but if they could maybe swing a trade for a Royce O'Neal, I don't think a Royce O'Neal would be that bad of a pickup, okay? I think Royce O'Neal is one of the most underrated players in the entire league, and he's one of the better defenders who can shoot the ball really well, and he can play that Jay Crowder role, in my opinion, pretty freaking well, okay? And it might be hard, but enough for them to prime away from the Suns. I'm not the Suns, the Jazz, my apology, but a guy that they could get who's a former Jazz, and he would stretch the floor greatly and could play the 3 or the 4, is Georges Niang. Okay, I think Georges Niang could be a great pickup for them that people aren't necessarily thinking about, okay? So that's it for me. Just a little reaction about our guy Kyle Lowry signing with the Miami Heat, and I think it's a great deal.